The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. That is crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Welcome to DIYSim.com, your source for your entire do-it-yourself simulator building experience. Whether your goal is to build a full-motion flight simulation cockpit with all 6 degrees of freedom, or find plans to build a full-motion racing simulation cockpit with anywhere from 1 degree of freedom all the way up to 6, DIY Sim has the products, plans, and resources to help you make it happen. Our DIY Sim brand is backed by one of the most innovative sim building organizations in the world. Simcraft creates driver, in-the-loop simulators with proper kinetics for motion simulation, a technology that is unique to Simcraft and which accurately recreates high-speed vehicle dynamics. Simcraft simulator systems enable drivers to develop and enhance their car control skills efficiently and effectively, any track, any car, any day, all day. DIYSim.com has it all. Please start and finish your sim building experiences with us.
While Season 10 saw near perfection at the front of the field, Season 11 in the VSRA has proven to be a battle royale with absolutely no one coming out without some bruises. As we arrive in Alabama, many drivers are left licking their wounds from a wild and unpredictable race at Road Atlanta. With no time to rest, they must now take on the tangled web that is Barber Motorsports Park. Get ready to watch Round 5 and the DIYSim.com American Road Tour live on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak. With me in the booth tonight are Ayrton Ellis and Bill Zahn. Our cameras have been provided by Dougie Beard and are directed by Kevin Brown. Ayrton, this track is often said to be underused in the iRacing service, so why don't you share a few of the stats about this track with the audience?
Thanks, Joe. Well, it definitely is underused, but it's one of my personal favorites. It's 2.4 miles long, or 3.8 kilometers, and has 16 very difficult turns. So we'll be running about 45 minutes around this track in the Riley DP, and these guys are going to have to make at least one pit stop throughout the course of this race. So quite a short sprint for these guys. It's going to be exciting.
Definitely. And as we watch qualifying from the air currently, why don't we go to our lap guide and see what it's like on board around this very twisty and hilly track. Brown behind the wheel of the GSRC DP, so let's do a lap around Barber Motorsports Park. Coming up to turn 1, it's going to be a fast downhill left-hander. It's easy to push wide here without the track drops away. But right away, you're hit with turns 2 and 3, the Alabama roller coaster. There's a lot of elevation change with this long right-hander, and setting up your exit is going to be critical. Get on the power as soon as you can and stay right over this blind crest to set up for Charlotte's Web. This is easily the best passing zone on the track, but drivers will often overshoot it. This is because the braking zone is right where the track drops away, so just a fraction too late and you can find yourself in the sand trap. After that, you've got a little bit of a stretch down to Museum Corner, which is one of the trickiest chicanes in all of racing. Reminiscent of the corkscrew, you can't see a thing until you're right on top of it. Passes will be tempting, but too wide will absolutely not work through here. As you come to the bottom of the hill, you'll drift back to the right to get ready to sling it through turns 10 and 11. You'll need to be brave and take a lot of curb, but just try not to unsettle the car too much. Then we get back to the right again for 12 and 13. Except this time it's slower and you're going to be completely unsighted for the exit. When wrecks happen past this hill, it's bound to be a mess. Now you hit 14 and 15. This is another corner that feels like it goes on forever. But the important thing is to be to the right as you come out of turn 15. That's so you can have the car ready for the final corner of 16. From there, you finish the lap around Barber. There are bound to be some difficulties around this track, and you can see why as we watch the cars continue in qualifying. Currently looking at Bruce Poole. Let's hop over to the championship, brought to you by DIYSim.com. And Bill, we've had quite the shakeup after last round.
Yeah, the Brazilian festival, that's the word I was looking for last race, not fiesta. The festival is a little smaller now. There's only 3 Brazilians up there, but they are at the top. Alex Bilau's leading the way with 2:27. Anderson Moda at 2:23, and Wendell Para is 42 back from the lead. Now, the bad news for Wendell Parr is he's not here today, and he's already had a DNF, so don't look for him to be in the top 5 come next week. Now, rounding out the top 5 is Kyle Potts, and I got to hold back my excitement here as I read this 5th one. How about John Kelly? His average starting position is something like 23. He makes his way up through the field every race. He has a strategy of making a lap 1 pit stop, so we'll keep an eye on him this week to see if he does the same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a lot more difficult for him to be able to try and make up positions by passing on track this week, Ayrton, especially since the passing zones are essentially limited to 1 around here.
Yeah, a lot of these corners, turn 5 at Charlotte's Web is definitely the best passing zone for these guys. They get a nice launch straight. Some of them are possible. We have turn 7 as well, which is after launch straight, and also turn 1. But they're risky because they're quite narrow corners and very difficult to go side by side into. So this track is definitely going to be a challenge for these guys, and these cars can really get unsettled on the elevation changes of this track as well.
Very much so, and there's also a couple of corners around here, Bill, that are going to test the tires quite a bit. They've got those turns 2 and 3, and I believe it's 14 and 15, long right-handers.
Yeah, the tire strategy is more of an art form than a science. I'm not sure what the guys are going to do. Now, the weather today is 78 degrees, so that's kind of pleasant, certainly pleasant for the fans, and 78 probably shouldn't chew up the tires so much. So we'll have to keep an eye and see what they do. I would expect, well, I know one thing they're not going to do is that's change front tires only, because they tried that on the first race in Daytona, and that was disastrous. So we'll keep an eye on what they do.
Now, as we watch, I believe we've got Matthew Thill on screen. He's going to go by the pit entry here. Now, Ayrton, we were talking a bit about this before the broadcast. This pit entry really catches drivers out if they're not practicing it.
Yeah, it's fairly similar to our race last weekend at Road Atlanta, where you're entering the pits and right in front of you is a big wall. If you go too fast into it, you're going to hit that wall and cause damage to your car. So these guys have to be careful, because you can definitely gain quite a bit of time going through that pit entry if you try to go as fast as your way through it. But if you go too fast, you can really end your race.
And it looks like we're getting a lot of the cars with their laps in. Let me check to see. We've got a few lap 2, lap 3, so we've got a few more guys to go before qualifying is over. We're going to let them finish up before we start to read out the results of that. But one thing that we cannot avoid talking about, Bill, is that lap 1 pileup from last week. That has just absolutely affected everything from the championship to how drivers are going to approach these lap 1s from now on. It was a game changer.
Yeah, last season, in season 10 of the BMW, we didn't see anything like that. In fact, that season was about as predictable as a Civil War reenactment. What happened this season is not only the big, we had the Daytona big one yet last week, is there's been mistakes all over the place, and we really can't pick a winner this time. We don't know where it's going to come from.
Yeah, and speaking of picking winners, we were watching the timing sheets of practice. Jonathan Scarallo, Ayrton, he was, let's see if he was, no, he didn't quite top it. He was up there for a long time. It looks like Alex Palau pipped him in practice. But he is a bit of a surprise this week. Kind of reminds me of Bruno Rossetto at Daytona, where it just seemed to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I've been looking at Scarella. He actually has a really high average starting position. His average starting position is actually 9th place, but then his average finishing position is 15th place. So he's really struggling either in the racecraft of these races, or he's just getting caught up in incidents. We saw him racing with a few guys last race at Road Atlanta. He had a really good run, but he was also involved in a lot of incidents. So maybe he really needs to just clean up his act and focus on trying to finish these races rather than battling so hard for positions.
Well, I think that just goes to show that, the racing is not just about your hot lap pace. You can be fast out there on track, but it's all about that racecraft and being able to manage a stint and manage the other drivers around you. This is more than just a single person competing here. So these drivers have to be multifaceted in their skills around here in this series. So as looks like, let's see where we are on qualifying. I'm seeing a few cars finishing up. I've got one car on lap 1. That's Romer Alcala, actually. You can see him on your screen now, currently in 24th. That I don't think he hasn't put a lap in at all, so he should be popping up as he crosses the line here. We'll see what kind of pace he's got. And it looks like, he must have made a mistake because he didn't show up on our timing screen. So Romero's got to make another try. And that's worth mentioning here in this qualifying, Bill, is that this is a solo qualifying for those who are new to this series. So they only have so many chances to get it right.
Yeah, and some of the drivers don't even like to qualify. We talked about John Kelly earlier. I don't even see him posting a time. I think he's looking forward to starting at the back and doing his pit stop like he usually does. Yeah, the solo qualifying, I think it kind of shakes things up rather than open qualifying where you go for a few minutes. I think putting the pressure on 1 or 2 laps, you can find yourself certainly well down the field.
Absolutely, and again, for those who are not familiar with iRacing and how the service works with solo qualifying, if you put half of your car off the track, you get what's called an incident point, and that means that your lap does not count, so you can't get any spins or off tracks or hit anything. Or else your lap is nullified, and so that's why Romer Alcala's first lap did not count out there, and he's hopefully going to be able to put one in as we watch him come onto the front stretch. Keeps it nice and tidy. Oh no, he actually pulls off. That was unusual. Not sure what exactly happened there, but that lap is not going to count either, I'm pretty sure. So he's going to be down half of his laps here, and he's moving relatively slow. So Romer Alcala is certainly making things difficult. Now we've switched to Lance Snyder, who also hasn't put his laps in. So we've got a few guys that are waiting till late in this thing, making it tough for us to try and read out this qualifying. I guess we'll have the qualifying lap to give you the results, or excuse me, the pace lap to give you the results on that. But in the meantime, we'll have to wait a little bit longer to realize what is going to happen with these guys. A few more of the stories. Actually, before we go on more of the stories, let's talk about the social media, Ayrton. What are the ways that our fans can get a hold of us live during the race?
Well, they can get a hold of us on Facebook, on facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel, or they can go to us on Twitter at GSR Channel as well. And you can also type in the comment section for the Twitch or YouTube live stream as well.
And you can leave us tweets live on air. We will try to answer questions if we have time. This is usually a little bit more of a frantic series, so we're not sure if we'll be able to answer that. We also try and pay attention to the YouTube comments, so if you have any questions during the race or comments, please leave them for us, and we will perhaps read them out on air. So, looking at our qualifying results right now, it's looking like Alex Bilbao, championship leader, Bill, is looking very strong once again today. Right now, it's not over yet on qualifying, but he is sitting on that provisional pole.
Yes, he is, but I'm going to make my prediction now ahead of schedule. I hate to throw Joe a curveball here, but I'm telling you, Mom and Dad, gather up the jewelry and take it to the pawn shop, because call your bookie. The smart money's on Daniel Santos today. I really think I think he's the fastest driver, and I think he's due to stay out of trouble and get the win.
I think that could be a good bet, but we have seen, I believe it was round 1 at Homestead, where he led relatively definitively, and then he made a strategy error, and we saw him slipping and sliding all over on those half-worn tires. So I imagine that he's worked that out by now, but we'll have to see if Daniel Santos has maybe cut out some of the strategical errors and is able to keep it on track and maybe challenge Bilbao and see if he can get back in this championship run. We're continuing to watch the pink or magenta car, depending on what you want to call it, of Lance Snyder on track right now as he works his way up to Museum Corner here, kind of giving that first apex a miss as he dives down that very steep grade and elevation and now onto the backstretch, which includes a couple of S's. So we've got about, actually it looks like a little less than a minute left in qualifying. So these guys are getting to the very end, and Lance is actually on his first lap. So
I love that car. Joe, I love that car.
I do too, for the fact that it's so easy to pick him out since nobody else has that scheme on. But I don't think he's going to get his lap in. Actually, it looks like just going to squeak one lap in here if he did not get an incident point on that one. So he's going to be out there. And then after After that's done, we are going to go through our qualifying results. It's got about 10 more seconds, and then we are going to get ready to grid up for round 5 here at Barber Motorsports Park. There you can see he's exited out. He knows he's run out of time, and the clock is now finished. So we are switching, and there is a lot of non-qualifiers. Oh my goodness. 25 car field, and we've got, looks like 7 cars that did not put a qualifying time in. This is going to be an interesting day, guys. Let's start with the car on pole. That would be Alex Balau, as now we get ready to watch the cars gridding up. Balau on pole with Daniel Santos rounding out the front row. Jonathan Scarallo starts in third, so doing well for him there. Ruben Velasco begins in fourth, with Leandro Schmidt starting in fifth and Jose Vergara in sixth. Then we've got Frank Phillips in seventh, Anderson Moda in eighth, Matthew Thill in ninth, and Derek Waller in 10th, Ayrton.
Then we've got in 11th place Eduardo Tometi. Bruce Poole is going to be in 12th place, Matt Malone in 13th, Mark Robertson in 14th, Lee McGovern in 15th, George Fike in 16th, Michael Koralski in 17th, Lance Snyder in 18th, and then Bruno Rossetto, first of our non-qualifiers, in 19th, and Marcio Arizona in 20th. Bill?
And wrapping out the back of the field in 21st is John Kelly. He's sandbagging back there, boys and girls. Al Potts in 22nd. Not sure what he's up to. We'll look for these guys to make early first lap pit stops. John LaBeouf in 23rd, and rounding out the last two spots are Clint Myers and Romer Alicia.
And Romer is one who's usually a mid-packer, so he's got some work to do. John Kelly, we're used to seeing him back there. Bruno Rossetto, boy, he's going to have a hell of a time to try and work his way back up. Although we're hearing maybe some information that maybe they're hanging back to avoid any of the first lap shenanigans that we saw last week. We'll see how that plays out. As you can see, they're lined up on the grid, and I see a few cars still not on there. Maybe they're going to try and start from the pit lane, attempting what we were saying earlier. And you can see we've got the pace car out there as usual. This is a rolling start for the series, which, Ayrton, is a skill all its own.
Yeah, definitely getting those jumps at the beginning of the race is pretty tricky, and we noticed far this season the guy who starts in first really has that advantage on the starts. But starting on the inside into turn 1 here is a little difficult, because if the guy on the outside in second place gets a nice run, they can go side by side into turn 1, then he'll have the inside for turn 2. So let's see if Daniel Santos might be able to pull that off at the start.
Could always potentially be there, and as usual, I will ask you guys your picks. I think we've already heard yours, Bill.
Yeah, it's Santos for me. Who do you think, Eric?
I'm going to go with Balau. I think he's definitely one of the fastest guys. His average starting position is actually second place. He only just got his first win, so I think he's definitely a top contender.
Yeah, I think Balau is on good form. He did a good job last week at Road Atlanta, so I wouldn't put money past Balau being able to repeat his feat and get himself 2 wins on the trot as we see them go around Charlotte's Web. As we said, this is going to be the best passing zone on this track, so watch for guys trying to make dives into there. However, there is that dip in the track right in the braking zone, so guys can also easily overshoot it. Now, we also see turn 7 coming up, Museum Corner, that Ayrton mentioned. And Bill, I've seen in a number of series where guys try to go too wide through here, and it just does not work.
Yeah, but don't be surprised if it happens now, because we have not seen these guys show much discretion when it comes to racing. Certainly a contrast to what we saw in Season 10. So I'm hoping we get a nice clean lap in for the first lap, and then we'll go racing.
Well, Bill, you said that last week. It didn't quite turn out so much. So
Joe, we've seen guys crash on the warm-up lap.
This is true. That was more of an iRacing bug, though, from what we understand. So I don't think we can put too much blame on that. But I'm afraid of putting the commentator's curse on asking for a clean race too much before the start here. So I'm going to stay away from that one. Well, we are getting ready to take the start for round 5 here. We've got only a few more corners to go, coming around turn 14 and the next apex of turn 15. This is essentially a single corner, though. Pace car peels off. It is now under the control of Alex Balau, waiting for that green flag to fly. Coming around turn 16, heavy banking in this corner, and Santos is far back. He's very far back. Balau takes off. Green flag flies. There is no answer for Balau. We've got Jonathan Scarella on the inside. Already past Santos. Oh, but he spins the car, and he's off as the field streams by. Bad start for Scarallo as everybody else seems to be pretty clean.
And we have quite a few first lap hitters as well. Clint Meyer, Sean LeBaff, John Kelly, Romero Alcala, and Lance Snyder as well. So all these guys are doing the first lap pit stop strategy.
We're seeing a few moves down into Charlotte's Web, including Leandro Schmidt, and it looks like Jose Vergara was trying to make his way into there. Now we're heading to that tricky museum corner. Let's see if anybody tries to make that move, Bill.
It's all pretty nice in the back. Everyone's behaved pretty well, other than we had that little incident.
Everything looks pretty tidy through this corner. It looks like everybody knows it's early in the race. No need for risky, aggressive stuff. Now, Jonathan Scarallo started in third, and currently he is sitting well far back. Where is he? He is sitting in, it looks like 16th. 18th we're seeing right now, and actually he's already trying to make up a position, and he's already getting past George Fike, who actually quite politely lets him by into that second set of S's, but he goes off the course. Not a good start for Jonathan Scarallo. Retains the position, gets back on without much incident, but they do have incident points. We haven't talked about that in a while, Eric.
Yeah, I believe the max is 24. I might be wrong on that, but we have had a few guys already this season be disqualified near the end of the race for going over that limit.
Absolutely, so they'll have to watch out for that in this very tricky track. Hopping back to Frank Phillips, currently sitting in 5th position. He is hunting down Leandro Schmidt as they head into Charlotte's Web. He's not close enough, it looks like, so he's just going to stay in position behind him as they work their way. Oh, and we've got a spin.
Vergara.
Vergara has spun. Let's see if we can get the camera on him. And we're going to go to the replay, see what happened. We got another spin just ahead of him as well. That's Scarallo again. Scarallo not liking this track as we watch Vergara lose it coming around here. It looks like, Bill, the rear just kind of came out on him.
Yeah, you know, and to get back to Scarallo, he must have practiced his qualifying curve. That's way up for him. What a shame for him to have such a bad start.
Yeah, he is not making good on that great qualifying, as he was 17th last time across the line. We're showing him an 18th, and now we're watching the replay of him spinning, which is also an unforced error. Well, meanwhile, as the race continues, we still have Lau in the lead, and as he comes across the line, Daniel Santos is already over a second behind. I think he made a little bit of ground last time by, but Santos does have a little bit of a gap to make as the front of the field spreads out. Velasco currently sitting on the final step of the podium right now in third, with Leandro Schmidt just behind him in fourth, and Frank Phillips, we mentioned before, in fifth. That's our top five before we've got a bit of a gap back to Moda in sixth. So that's how it's sitting right now. Right now we're watching Lee McGovern. He's in the middle of a big pack here, and he's got Kyle Potty looking to the inside, and just behind him, Bruno Rossetto making a wild dive. They make contact, and almost make contact with Lee McGovern as well. And they all managed to come out unscathed, it looks like, and Potts is the one who comes out ahead.
Lee was not happy with that. McGovern was saying, "What the bleep are you doing?"
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be very happy. Great job for Potts, seeing all that unfold and be able to capitalize on everything.
Yeah, Rossetto and Potts are the fast guys that didn't manage to get a clean lap in during qualifying. They ran laps but didn't get a single clean one, so they had to start from the back end. They also didn't do that first lap pit stop either, so they're really at a disadvantage at the start of this race.
Very much so, and as we continue to watch Rossetto, who did that very late dive just a bit ago, trying to work his way back up to Potts. He seems like he's got the pace. Remember, he didn't get a qualifying lap in. He is already, he was up at 14th last time by. He's currently back in 14th, actually, still. So he didn't, no, he's 13th now. So he gained one position last time. Now we hop over to Bruce Poole on board with him, who is sitting just ahead in 11th spot. Bruce is trying to run down Eduardo Tomede in 10th. And he's nowhere near enough close to try a move into Charlotte's Web, so he takes the racing line.
John Kelly has worked his way up, not that far from 23, but keep an eye on him. To the top five, so it's legitimate to keep an eye on as he works his way through the field.
Absolutely, and I believe Kelly took his stop, did he not, in his usual strategy?
Yep, there's about 4 or 5 of them back there, and they're running nice and peaceful, having a nice Sunday night drive.
Yeah, I think that is probably the smartest thing the guys could have done this time is try and pit off strategy and just get out of everybody's way. It's very crowded, and with the limited opportunities, it seems to be biting a few guys.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's much of it within the front of the pack, at least. So these guys are actually won't be getting slowed down from battling with each other like we've seen in previous races.
Oh, and Kyle Potts trying to move on the inside of Bruce Poole. We're just watching on screen. He tries for the over-under through 16. Doesn't have enough momentum, but now Potts is under threat from Bruno Rossetto. Takes a look on the inside. So does Potty, and he doesn't have the momentum to try and into turn 1. Closes up as he uses his momentum through that corner as well. Look at Rossetto looking around the outside. Potts getting checked up behind the car of Bruce Poole. Now they're all on top of each other. Potts almost pushes Rossetto off track, but he's all the way up alongside. We're 3 wide into turn 5. Still trying to hold on to it. Rossetto squirreling on the gas and loses spots as Potts once again, second time in the race, that out of 3 cars going in at once, he comes out ahead.
That's too bad for Rossetto. He did a really good job of holding the inside line. We're actually going to go 3 wide through there, and then he got loose on the rear end traction, and he lost positions.
Rossetto is ambitious today, and Potts, wow, has he got his head screwed on, because those could have gone so wrong, and each time he managed to come out with a position ahead while defending a position from behind. So Potts is on his A game, although he's not as high as we're used to seeing him, currently sitting down in 12th.
Well, that's from 20 seconds. That's definitely a good run.
This is true. And currently just behind him, we're watching on board. Rossetto's got a run on Bruce Poole. This time he's going to have him into turn 1. He is all the way up alongside as we hop off board. And that is going to be a clean pass as they head into the Alabama roller coaster.
I'm keeping an eye on Matthew Thrill. He's having a nice race, and he's in a nice battle here. He's running 6th right now. He's in a nice battle with Moda, Thrill, and Phillips all together, running 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, Phil is looking good today after some bad results last week. Hopefully he can make up for that. Hopefully I'm not putting the commentator's curse on him as he's trying to hunt down Moda. We see them working their way through Museum Corner, now onto the backstretch. All line astern. Moda does not have much of a gap, so all it's going to take is a bobble, and that is very easy to do on these high curves there.
Yeah, and Frank Phillips actually made a mistake last lap. He was sitting in 5th place, went off track on the exit from turn 15, and he got passed by Phil and Moda, so definitely unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I recall now that he was in 5th before as just a little bit of a look inside by Phil, but nothing doing for that green and black machine as they head through turn 16. He's got a very good run. Oh, and too much of one as he goes off track into the grass, manages to hold on to it. That's actually impressive because, Ayrton, we've seen in other series that anytime you go in the grass off there, it almost immediately sends you spinning into that pit wall.
Yeah, really good save from Phil, and I've been quite interested in Phil because in the first race of the season at Homestead, he finished 4th place, and ever since then he hadn't really finished far up, but he's back up there now.
He's got to hold on to it for the rest of the race, though. We've got 36 minutes left to go. And we've got more action going on with Potts as he is under attack from Tomedi, he was on the attack on Tomedi and takes the position. Potts moving up one more, now cracking into the top 10. Just behind them, we got a battle we can see going on between Matt Malone and Bruno Rossetto, and Bruno tries the over-under as Malone has some connection issues on my screen. I'm not sure if that's showing up on the broadcast. Looks like it was, but Rossetto having a lot of trouble making forward motion in this race as he's trying to work his way past the yellow and white car of Matt Malone.
And that's really proved to be a factor in the season. I mean, this isn't exactly lap traffic, but definitely dealing with traffic when you're in the faster car has been a big problem for some of these drivers.
Absolutely. It's like I was talking about earlier, that racecraft very much comes into play, especially in these cars where they almost require aggressive moves to try and make it stick. And as Rossetto tries to close in down the front stretch, he takes a look, but he's not close enough, just a bit of a peek to say, hi, I'm still here, as Matt Malone leads them into the Alabama roller coaster. He starts to close up on the back of Tomedi. It looks like Potts made a good move because he has cleared a big gap, and it's Tomedi that could be holding them up. But right now we've got a move happening once again into turn 5 from Rossetto. It's going to be a little bit more clean this time into the braking zone. Malone trying to move around the outside as they get ever so close, and it looks like Rossetto's got him this time.
Rossetto's really good passing into that corner. A few times he has been squeezed, but he's really good at holding that inside line.
That was a lot cleaner than we've seen previously from Rossetto, so I think maybe he's finally got the handle on that Charlotte's Web corner. So now we've hopped on board with Matt Malone, who's trailing him, and we've switched to George Fike, actually. Fike is sitting in 17th, not doing too bad for him, Bill. I know you're a bit of a fan of Fike.
Yeah, I know George Fike from the Blondie series. He's racing here a lot. It's good. He's missed the last couple races. It's good to have him back. You know, I was keeping an eye on the front, and everything's pretty much staying the same up there. But, Joe, it's awfully hard. We'll talk about it when we go back up there. It's awfully hard to call the race up there. Bilal, Santos, Schmidt, and Moda, I think, are all teammates. They look like they're all in identical cars.
Yeah, they are in identical cars. It is cruel. We have a hard time telling these guys apart, but we do our best. We do have time and scoring on our side, but Bilal currently 2.5 seconds up the road from Santos. We haven't shown a lot of him. There's been a lot of great action mid-pack so far this race. You can see him on your screen as he heads through Museum Corner. Velasco a little ways back. He's 4.5 seconds shy of our leader Bilal, but currently sitting third. This is going to be the result that he needs after, well, actually I take that back. He finished second after a lot of trouble. So it's actually just simply a much cleaner race for him this time around, Bill.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just had a car go off the track. I want to see if I can find it, but I lost it. I'll get back.
All right, we'll head back to you for that. And we have hopped with Leandro Schmidt, who, excuse me, we're with Frank Phillips now, actually.
The car, I'll get back to you right now. It was Anderson Moda looped it in the museum corner, and he's dropped several positions.
Interesting. We're going to look at a replay. Meanwhile, just a heads up, Derek Waller, who was sitting in 8th, is heading into the pits, so we're starting to see pit stops come into play. We're looking at Moda, and that was Museum Corner, in fact, that just went off track. That is such a difficult corner. With the drop, you have to be aggressive on the curves to get everything out of that thing, so it is very, very difficult. But it looks like no damage to his car as it was just an off, and he is continuing on. So, Ayrton, we've got cars heading in, Derek Waller among them, and how much time we've got? 32 minutes left on the clock, so we're not even a third of the way into this thing.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing a lot of guys hitting at any time throughout this race. Now, I'm interested to see how people think about the tire strategy and also fuel amounts as well. We saw that last race at Road Atlanta. Frank Phillips was sitting in 3rd place, ran out of fuel with only a few minutes to go. So that's definitely going to be a factor coming to the end of this race.
Absolutely, and just a heads up on that lead gap, Alex Bilal put almost half a second more, I think it was half a second more on Daniel Santos. He's starting to stretch that out. So Santos is either going to have to pick up the pace or look at some sort of alternate strategy. You know, if I was him, Bill, I'd be thinking maybe duck into the pits, get some fresh tires, see if I can, you know, jump him in a leapfrog maneuver.
Yeah, because what he's doing right now is a slow death. He's just dropping 2 or 3 tenths of a second per lap. So yeah, let's come in, maybe come in, let's get some tires and see what we can do, huh?
Yeah, either a leapfrog or you know, you boil a frog to slowly kill it. So I think that's
good for you. That's good.
I've been paying attention to you, Bill.
He's a frog in a pot. I like it.
But right now he's got Leandro Schmidt actually putting the pressure on, or excuse me, that's Ruben Velasco that's got the pressure on, and we're on board with Schmidt sitting in 4th. Schmidt trying to put himself up into that podium position, but he's nowhere close enough as they work their way down that hill past that big classic car museum now on the backstretch, and he is just trying to make that progress bit by bit by reeling it in. Let's move back, see if we can find ourselves a battle. Ayrton, what have you been watching?
Well, I've actually been looking at this battle. I just want to say, I think Schmidt is really looking to redeem himself after this race because he started 2nd at Road Atlanta, but then had so many difficulties that obviously that lap 1 incident, but kept on coming back and got involved in multiple accidents throughout the race. I think he's really looking to redeem himself and get back onto a podium position.
And it looked like he was closing that gap just a little bit. Let's see what it is this time by. And I think he did close up just a little bit. So it looks like Schmidt is on the move as he's slowly reeling in Velasco. Now heading up over that blind crest of 4. You see nothing but sky as you come over that thing. He's lost a little bit of ground due to the accordion effect as they head into 4 now. Or excuse me, turn 5 rather. And now he's losing ground. So it looks like it might be a bit of an ebb and flow here, Ayrton, where Schmidt is stronger on certain parts of the track and Velasco's strong on others.
Yeah, I think Schmidt is definitely the later breaker, but Velasco can just get those exits a lot better, and that happens, that ebb and flow really comes into effect on Barber, because you've got quite a lot of hard braking, so to then get in that good exit for the longer straights is really important as well.
And just behind them is Thrill and Phillips, who are having a nice battle. Moda trying to make up for his spin. He's trying to run those guys down from 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Yeah, I remember Phillips was all the way up into 5th at one point, and he qualified in 7th. So Phillips is punching a little bit above his weight. He had a really good race last time, taking advantage. And I see a car off the track. Or I saw some smoke, rather. I'm not sure who. Might have been Tumeni. Let's see if we can figure it out.
Arizona,
Nope.
I think.
Oh, sounds like it was a lapped car of Arizona.
No, it wasn't. It was actually Leandro Schmidt.
Oh, Schmidt. Hearing it was Schmidt.
Yeah, he spun in the entry of turn 15. I'm not sure exactly what happened. Looks like he just got loose.
Let's see
No,
if
it was
we
on
can
the
get a
exit
replay of that. Yeah. So unfortunately, it looks like we won't be able to get that replay. But yeah, it was a half spin coming out of the S's on the backstretch over that crest. And that means that he is, let's see, did he lose any positions in that, Ayrton? I couldn't tell.
No, he didn't lose a position, but definitely lost a lot of time to moving in front of him.
Let's go back to 7th, 8th, and 9th. There's a dogfight going on here with Moda, Potts, and Rosetto. These guys have been going at it.
Oh, Potts and Rosetto have been at each other for most of this race, it seems, as now they head in. Oh, wow, really cutting the corner for Potts there. Coming down the hill, that compromises his exit. Rosetto is trying to look for a way up the inside, but there's really no passing into these S's, so he just stays in line. Now they're coming up to a lapped car, which it looks like they're going to work their way past. That was Marcio Arizona, and it's going to stretch out a bit under this high downforce section. As now they come into the final few corners, the long right-hander of 14 and 15. Just ahead of them is Anderson Moda in 7th. So it's a 3-car race for these guys as we see a little bit of dirt somewhere from somebody having an off-track. But good stuff between both Potts and Rosetto for most of this race, Ayrton.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised Rosetto hasn't hit it yet, because I feel like he keeps on getting behind Potts and then making a mistake, and it's probably added up to slow him down quite a bit, so I'm surprised he hasn't come in.
And we had an off track from Potty, which means Rosetto blows up around the Alabama roller coaster, hits his favorite spot on the inside into turn 5, but he's not quite close enough, and he backs out of it this time, waiting for a better opportunity. I think you're right. Whoa, and a huge bobble from Rosetto as he gets on the gas a little bit too quickly. But yeah, I think you're right. Rosetto sitting in 9th right now. His best maneuver is probably going to be getting into pits, get some fresh tires, get some clean air if he can, and try and run some good laps. Once again, he's chewing up those back tires all over the place there, Aaron.
Yeah, and these guys seem to be really struggling with listing points as well. According to our director, Santos, Velasco, Schmidt, Phillips, and Tometi have all not had a clean lap so far, so if they keep on going getting those instant points, they can be at risk of getting disqualified.
Very much so. They're on lap 14 at the moment with 26 minutes left to go, so they're not even halfway there yet. So these guys will definitely have to clean up their act. And still all together 1, 2, 3. Rosetto once again taking a little bit of a peek down the front stretch, but just a bit of a psychological maneuver. And once again, Potts way wide on that apex into 1, and Rosetto looking around the outside, but can't quite keep the grip to make it happen. He tries for the over-under. That's going to put him on the wrong side, though, and just barely get side by side through 4, and he has to back out of it. There goes his opportunity. Could have been a very good opportunity into Charlotte's Web that time, Eric.
Yeah, he's really trying to get those good exits on Potts, but Potts is doing a really good job at defending his position.
Let's stay on this battle, but just a quick update. Bilal, 4.5 seconds up the road from Daniel Santos. At this point, he continues to stretch that lead, It hasn't been a huge stretch since we last checked into that, so it's just been slowly but surely making sure he's got that gap. Wow, Monster with a lot of curve into the right-hander of that part of the S is there, but he came out alive, so I guess that works. In the meantime, this battle that you're watching is for 7th, 8th, and 9th, Bill.
Yeah, and you can keep the action up there, but just want to give you an update on John Kelly. He's worked his... Oh, here's our leader coming in, or one of our leaders.
No, that's Rossetto, actually, who is ducked in, who we're watching right now, who manages to stay out of the barriers on that pit entry. Let's see what he can do in this. Now, I don't know if either of you guys have been watching. Have people been taking tires here, or are they taking a risk and maybe trying to short stop it?
I haven't noticed, but I'll keep watching these when the fast guys start coming in.
All right. Oh, go ahead, Eric.
Well, none of the early stoppers are going to have fresh tires.
And Phillips is off the track and almost spins it, manages to keep it together out of Charlotte's Web there. And Phillips was chasing down Phil, but now he has lost a lot of ground as we watch the replay.
Those guys are actually chasing down Leandro Schmidt, who's been really struggling on his lap times recently, so that could have been a 3-car battle. Looks like Phil might just be on his own chasing that 4th place position.
And it looks like that was Phil actually making a move that didn't push Phillips out wide, but caused an error there. So Phillips obviously not having the race that he wanted, but he is sitting in 6th right now behind Phil. Santos, we are hearing, has gained almost a second on Bilal last time by, so Bilal must have ran into some traffic or had a mistake somewhere along the line. We're getting word that Santos has picked the pace, so maybe he's just been playing possum out there. Maybe he's just taking it easy in this first stint.
Yeah, I just went back and reviewed Bilal. Wow, that's hard to say. His last couple laps, and he was fine. He was clean. He was just not as fast. So yeah, maybe my pick has been biding his time, but pit stops have got to be coming pretty soon, and that pretty quick.
And if these two start fighting right now, Ruben Velasco's a whole 8 seconds off Bilal, so he is. He's not really a threat to them if they start fighting. Now, we did hear some input from some of our viewers, our Brazilian viewers, that we are mispronouncing Alex Bilal's last name. Unfortunately, we haven't been told exactly how, or at least we don't have the correct information at the moment of how to say his name. So, Alex, if you're out there, if you're watching, please get with us and tell us how to say your name right, so that we can call you correctly out there, especially if you're going to keep winning the races.
Galio! No, I'm just saying, Galio is how you say that name.
Valio? All right.
That's how I'm saying it from now.
Okay.
I scared our director there.
Excuse me. In the meantime, I'm trying to see who we can see on screen, but my view's a bit blocked. There we go. We've got Santos on screen, sitting in 2nd, who's now got, let's see, looks like he lost a little bit of time, actually, to Bilal that time. But, however, they are still stretching it to Velasco behind him, who's now 9 seconds behind Alex and continuing to drop. Let's see if we can find ourselves a battle a little bit farther down the field. Sounds like Malone in 19th is having himself a nice battle. That is with your favorite, John Kelly.
Yeah, John's been having to put an eye on that. He's been making his way up, and I'm just watching Matthew Thill just came out ahead of some restricted pit stop. Just came out ahead of Jose Vergara. That was close. Yeah, John Kelly's doing okay. He's making his way up from that early pit stop, but you know there hasn't been a lot of attrition, and he really needs that attrition to help his point standings.
And Phil goes defensive. Vergara might have a better exit. No, he doesn't. He follows, and he's now off track. That means he's going to gift a position to Bruce Poole, who is going to move himself into the top 10. Nice move from Bruce, just cleanly and calmly takes it, and somebody spun. We can't see who.
It looks like Cal Potts actually, the exit of Charlotte's Web got really loose and didn't actually have a full spin, just got extremely loose smoke coming out of the back of his car.
And that was, there was someone else at museum, actually. There was some smoke that we saw. That's what I was referencing to. But not surprising, Ayrton, this track has spins all over the place.
Yeah, at the moment, of the guys who have pitted, Matt Thill is actually the highest positioning one. Kyle Potts is actually right behind. He's actually jumped a few positions.
And also Bruce Poole, who was with them, has jumped into the pits as well and allows Jose Vergara to take that 10th place back now that Vergara, I believe, has pitted. So we are now on lap 19. We've got 19 minutes left to go as well. We are well past the halfway point. Cars can usually make it about a half an hour, so they've got maybe about 4 more minutes. We're watching Bruno Rossetto and Kyle Potts once again. This is for position 11th and 12th. These guys, they must have magnets for each other on their cars, Bill.
Yeah, and
and look at this dive! Excuse me.
That's okay.
Rossetto, from way far back, is able to claim the position. Moves himself into 11th. Go ahead, Bill.
Oh, just so the viewers know, what you got is just ahead of those guys is Phil and Vergara, Potts and Rossetto. Now, those are the top 4 drivers who've pitted so far.
Wow, that was an incredible dive. If I was Potts, I don't know if I'd be impressed or mad.
It's been going on. Yeah, it's been going on all race.
Oh, and we got some bad news about Phillips. Ayrton, fill us in.
Yeah, well, Frank Phillips, he went off on the exit of 15 and went right into the wall. So he's now exited his cars out of the race.
Oh, such a shame. We're going to look at the replay on Phillips here, see if we can watch what happened. This is coming around, looks like 14, 15, like you said, yep. And then he's just understeers off the track. Hard blow into that Armco and decides that's enough for today.
Leader into the pits, Santos follows him.
All right, so I guess no strategy play from Daniel Santos. He's going to try and do this in a straightforward battle as they head towards their pit stalls. Who are our top guys you were saying who had already pitted?
Well, it's Phil, but he's further back, but he's really the guy to watch.
So he is no threat to these guys at this point on an undercut. That means Velasco also heading in, actually, as well. I was going to check our third place driver. Velasco is in, and Schmidt is in. Everybody is in. Eduardo Tomede is sitting in 5th. Now has Eduardo pitted.
Yep, he's going in now.
And Tomede is in as well. Alex Palau is exiting his stall, as we can see on screen. Daniel Santos is exiting as well. There's about 2.7 seconds across the line in the pits for these guys, but they have not relinquished the lead. So they are back 1-2 out there as well. Velasco coming out in 3rd. Schmidt going to come back out in 4th as well. Tomede is still in his stall. Where is Anderson Moda? Anderson Moda coming around, currently sitting in 6th.
Yeah, Moda got jumped by Phil in the pits. Go ahead, Aaron.
It looks like Tomede is actually still in his stall, so Moda is going to just jump him, it looks like. So looks like he should come out ahead.
I don't think Moda has pitted yet. Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah.
Yep. It looks like Moda has in fact pitted, so
I think
his
they've
is
all
done
been
and
in,
dusted.
boys. All been in.
Fike is the second to last driver to go in. Jose Vergara must have a little bit extra fuel on board there. He is the last one out at just about, looks like the 15-minute point. So he is stretching that half hour's worth of fuel all the way to the limit.
He's actually on a battle map with Phil right now.
And Phil is just a little ways up the road, so not quite close enough for him to do anything. But that is going to change because Vergara is going to have to come in and take his stop. In fact, I'd be shocked if he managed to come around for a whole nother lap. It's not very long laps around here, but you certainly can't go around. There he goes on into that tricky pit entry for Jose Vergara, the last of our cars. So let's go through our order real quick now that Vergara is going to cycle down the order. Alex Palau is sitting on top in 1st. Daniel Santos 4 seconds back in 2nd. Ruben Velasco 13 seconds back from our leader in 3rd. He is no threat at the moment. Leandro Schmidt sitting in 4th. And we've got Matthew Thill in 5th, followed by Bruno Rossetto in 6th. And he's finally got a gap to Kyle Potts. It looks like he might have had the pace, and he is putting Potts a little bit ways back. Anderson Moda is in 8th. Jose Vergara is scored in 9th, but I think that's going to change. We've got a spinner, though.
Marcio Arazan lost it. He's running 23rd right now. Lost it as no contact. He's back on.
And amazingly in all this, I take it back unless Goralski is taking a second stop here. Michael Boralski is our last car on the track in 24th out of 25 drivers. We've only had one car DNF so far, guys. Knock on some wood, because we've got still 14 or 15 minutes left to go. Oh, and Tomate, we just saw him spin back onto the track just about, but keeps it out of that car that he was, I think that was Scarallo.
Yep. And there's goes John Kelly by him right now. Yeah, LaBeouf got by him and Kelly, and now right behind him is Matt Malone.
So amazing save from Tomate to keep it together. Man, I'm amazed that those cars don't take more damage when they slide over those curves down that hill there.
Yeah, these guys can actually take quite a beating when they go over these curves. And this track especially has some pretty high curves, especially on that museum corner for these guys. At the moment, I'm actually looking at Daniel Santos. He's closing in on Alex Blau in the previous lap, closing in about 8/10.
Yeah, looking at him, it's been that back and forth that we keep talking about between Santos and Alex. And I don't know. If he's going to catch him here, I think he's really going to have to start pushing now because he's running out of laps.
There's also traffic in front of Blau.
This is true. That could come into play. It's slow up. In fact, the cars in front of him are Clint Myers and Mark Robertson. Definitely not as far up as they were last week. And Clint Myers looks like might be deciding to just kind of move aside. Yes, he eases up, and that allows Bilal through without any damage done there. Now he's going to have to try and get by Robertson as we hop on board with John Kelly looking back here.
Yeah, Kelly, Tomata, and Malone have been having a great battle for 12, 13, 14. Kelly's made his way up to 12. I've been monitoring the whole way. He's going to get up there, maybe a top 10 for John.
Definitely doing a nice job today, keeping it out of trouble. Let's hope he can continue to do that. Tomate, though, after a mistake, might have a little bit better pace, so he's going to have to work hard to hold him back. And behind them as well, Matt Malone, usually about a mid-packer, and that's where he's sitting right now in 14th. Let's see if he can maybe get up in this, take advantage if they start battling, Ayrton.
Yeah, there's quite a few more battles developing in the entrance. Schmidt actually, after that early mistake that he had, is catching back up to Ruben Velasco for that third place position. He's actually less than 2 seconds behind.
And we've seen mistakes from Velasco late in the race, especially when battling for top positions. Remember last week at Road Atlanta, had a spin or a half spin into the barriers coming through turn 5 and even made contact with the leader Alex Bilal into the chicane. So it's a question of whether he can keep on that. And right now we're watching a battle between Tomate, who goes defensive there. Excuse me, he actually gets around John Kelly and makes the pass. So Tomate moves himself up into 12th. John Kelly demoted down to 13th, unfortunately for you, Bill.
Yeah, you called that one. Tomate's on the move now. The leaders, I've been keeping an eye on them. Bilal got allowed 2 lap cars, and now Santos has made it around. But it's about 2.5 seconds.
Let's see if he lost the same amount of time last time by. They've got about half a lap to go, though, but only closed in last time around. However, not closing in is Ruben Velasco, sitting 17 seconds behind our leader. Man.
Oh, Phil has crashed. On the exit of Charlotte Webb, he got too loose and went in, didn't go into the inside wall, but I think, yeah, he's losing position to Potts right now.
Yeah, we're watching that replay as Potts goes by, and just behind Potts, we've got another car coming up, but we're going to watch that replay, and that was an unforced error if I ever saw one. Unfortunate for Phil, who's having a pretty good race today, up in that top 5. Right now, he is going to slip down into 7th. And it looks like Phil and Moda are going to try and find a way by. This is a battle for position on track between these guys. That's just ahead of Phil. Phil looking to get his spot back after that mistake running into the barrier. Let's hope he doesn't have too much damage. He's got a very good exit coming out of that final corner, but he's not quite close enough. Just can't outbrake a car coming into turn 1 as he closes in under the draft. Everybody taking a nice tidy line through turn 1. They are all line astern as they go 6th, 7th, and 8th through the Alabama roller coaster, Bill.
Yeah, see, keep the action there. I'll just update the viewers. They can see it as as the ticker goes by, but traffic plus have second on the lap.
So once again, that ebb and flow we keep talking about, and look at Moda closing up on the back of these guys. Remember, Moda's usually a front runner, Ayrton, so we kind of tend to expect him to be battling for these top 5 positions instead of trying to work his way into the top 5. And right now he's looking a little bit antsy in this trade 3.
Yeah, it seems like as the season has gone on, Moda's gotten lower and lower down on his qualifying positions, and as a result has been struggling a little more because he's now kind of a mid-packer in these races, even though he did win the first race of the season.
You know, I kind of wonder that with the new tire model and the new car, if maybe Moda was just quick on the draw. He was able to adapt quickly, and everybody's now caught up. So now he's in a little bit deeper skill pool, and he's struggling to swim.
I do think that he's still one of the more consistent drivers in this field. He definitely makes very few mistakes. He did make one during this race at the beginning, but besides that, he's made very few mistakes so far this season.
Yeah, and keep in mind that he is only 4 points behind Alex in the championship as Phil closes right up on the rear spoiler of Potts there, but not able to capitalize it as they stretch out in towards Charlotte Webb. But yeah, I mean, it's a very close championship fight right now. Remember, they have a drop week, so I think Moda, I believe he was caught up in some of the action in last race and had a bad result, so I think he has been saved a little bit by that, but he can't have too many more bad results or he's going to start slipping down the order. And we've got Schmidt on screen trying to close in on the back of Velasco. This is for the final podium spot.
I'm sorry, John Kelly just got turned by Matt Malone. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Matt's apologizing right now on the mic.
So 2 gentlemanly drivers obviously there, and we're watching the replay of that as they come through turn 4. It looks like it was down into Charlotte's Web as John Kelly, he had the inside and then went back to the racing line. I think he must have surprised him.
Yeah, that's a tough one. They were battling. There was a 3-car battle between Kelly, Malone, and Ricciardo. They were going at it.
Meanwhile, back on the battle between Schmidt and Velasco as Schmidt looks around the outside into Charlotte's Web. Is he going to get it done? He's going to try there side by side through that hairpin, but just doesn't have the momentum as they now accelerate away up towards Museum Corner. He's got a little bit better speed as Velasco goes defensive straight middle of the track. He knows that he can't force that one, and he slots in behind.
You can't make that pass, can you, Aaron? Can you go outside there? You can't do that.
I think I've seen it before. I've seen it before Conti races, but definitely very difficult and, yeah, difficult.
The key word there, Eric, I think, is trust.
Yeah, going side by side. I've gone side by side through that corner. It's definitely you rely on trusting the other drivers to give enough room. So these guys, especially since these cars are fairly wide, it's very difficult to go side by side over there. I'm glad Schmidt didn't try anything.
Yeah, that would have been vicious and the lightest juice in the turn, I suppose. But he's dropped a little bit back, so he's going to have to regain that ground and see if maybe he can make a move later on. Ooh, bit of a blink from Schmidt. This is not the time that he wants that when he's going to be making some close racing.
We almost lost it going into turn 2 as well.
We also are getting information that Phil and Moda are working hard here.
They've been going at it. You know, there's good battles all the way through this race. This is one of the better races as far as for the fans to watch stuff going on.
Oh, and Schmidt is off. Schmidt is off at Charlotte's Web. Just outbraked himself. I think he might have been trying another move. No, he was unsighted. That was an unforced error there.
Yeah, I wonder if he got a little distracted there. Probably looking at Velasco's car, just totally missed his braking.
It is easy when you're right under that rear spoiler with the brake markers right next to the track to kind of lose sight there. And that means that he has got a lot of ground between himself and Velasco now to try and make up. And we've only got 5 minutes left on the clock as we watch Matthew, Thill, and Potts still going at it.
Yeah, that's for 7th and 8th position there. Or what would be? Yeah, 7th and 8th, I guess.
6th, 7th, yeah, that's correct. 6th, 7th, and 8th. And that's Anderson Moda just behind them as a bit of a slip from Matthew Thill up over the hill. And that's going to mean that he can't quite close up, although maybe he does. Ooh, he gets a decent exit coming out of 15, now through 16. Can he start to close in? Yes, he is. He is reeling in that pink and blue car of Potty. Meanwhile, as we hit just that 5-minute mark now, on lap 30 here, coming around the Alabama roller coaster, Phil is a lot closer than we've seen before. He's going to try, that's going to be a long ways back. No, he slots back into line, coming into Charlotte's Web. Waits for another day, and they start to lose. Anderson Moda behind them put just a little bit of a gap as that green and black car of Phil's tries to run down Potts for that 6th position. They've got lap traffic just diving by. Oof, that has got to be heart in your throat stuff from them. That was John Kelly, actually, that was letting them by.
Yeah, Joe, go ahead here.
Well, I'm just saying I've been keeping an eye on this lead battle, and Lau and Santos, they're running complete identical laps. It couldn't be closer.
Yes, about 2.5 seconds still between them. Santos, and a mistake from Moda. Moda is into the wall. 8th place car into the wall, coming over the hill up towards 14 as we look at the replay. Here it comes right here as that hill is just huge, a big crest, and Car just got a little bit sideways. You can see it noses it into the wall. Not too much damage, but I believe he lost the position to Jonathan Scarallo, it looks like. So Scarallo moves up into 8th now. Moda slips down the order. Meanwhile, Phil still on the back of Potts. Go ahead, Ayrton.
Just gonna say, good recovery from Scarallo after that first turn 1 incident.
You have to wonder, though, what could have been for Scarallo. Currently sitting 8th, he qualified in 3rd. So this is a missed opportunity for him.
Yeah, he's running about the same place now as he was at Road Atlanta as well. He qualified pretty high at Road Atlanta, but then and he got as high as I think 3rd or 4th, and then just kept on getting involved in those incidents and just struggling.
So with 1:19 laps and 2.5 minutes left to go, I believe we've got about 2 or 3 laps left for Alex Bilal, now sitting over 3 seconds ahead of Daniel Santos. We're still watching this battle, and let's stay with this, with Phil right on the bumper of Potty, and now heading down towards turn 1. Not close enough to make a move now, though.
I've been watching it for several laps. You know, Phil gets up behind him, then he makes a mistake, and he drops back. Phil has the pace, he's just got to get around.
It's one thing to catch a car, it's a whole nother to try and pass them. Phil is finding that out as they head towards Charlotte's Web. He slots back into line as we ride on board with Phil. He takes a little bit of a peek, and that's more of a psychological move for Phil and he spins it! Coming out of the corner, loops it completely around 180, and is he going to lose a position? Yep. Scarallo's coming along. This is it. Yeah, he's going to lose that spot. Scarallo gets one more later in the race, so slow but steady. And Moda even is going to get Phil. So, it was looking so good for Phil, and unfortunately, it's all run away from him.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. That was 2 spins where he lost multiple positions now.
Exactly, and Scarallo, boy, you have to give him credit. I was going to say, you know, the tortoise, slow but steady, wins the race. Even though he had that early mistake, he has just been picking them off one by one and keeping it together as he has a bit of a bobble over the top. Right now we're looking at Barber, and this is for 13th and 12th position between Leboeuf and Bagar as he looks to the outside. Oh, I was going to say, you can't make a move through there, Bill.
Yeah, now, the interesting is, Vergara had passed Leboeuf, and now Leboeuf's got back around him. So I think
Schmidt
Vergara might have made a mistake. Oh, Schmidt has spun.
Yeah, Schmidt has spun. Rosetto has gone by him now for 4th.
So Rosetto making up spots after he started in 19th without a qualifying lap. He has been making up position after position, and look at all the lap traffic that they have to go through. Oh, and Schmidt is off. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the replay. So that was Schmidt making the mistake into the turn 5 there, but Rossetto is going to move himself up into 4th now. Phil spins again. But Ayrton, I'm thinking this is back to the tires that we mentioned early on. I think these guys are struggling.
Yeah, we saw it in race 1, a lot of guys, but that was more right after the pit stops when the tires were cold rather than later on in the race.
And we have the white flag out so they don't have to suffer for much longer as Alex Palau heads through Museum Corner for the final time. 3.5 seconds between himself and Daniel Santos. Unless something happens to Alex Palau, he has some terrible bad luck or he makes a mistake, this race is his to lose. Only a few more corners to go for Alex. It looks like he's going to be able to make it 2 on the trot. He's our championship leader. He's going to extend that lead over Moda after Moda has had a number of troubles himself in this race. In fact, where is he in position? Well, it doesn't matter right now because Alex Palau is coming to the line and he is going to win 2 in a row here for round 5 and the VSRA DIYSim.com American Road Tour. Meanwhile, Daniel Santos is going to come home behind him in 2nd. Ruben Velasco is a long ways back, almost 30 seconds back for Velasco in 3rd position. And just an update for you on Moda, he is sitting in 8th position. He is going to lose a number of points in this championship hunt, Ayrton.
Yeah, it's definitely going to hurt him, but Velasco comes home 3rd, and actually not far behind him, but only about 3 seconds behind was Bruno Rossetto, so an excellent recovery drive after starting really far back, and I think 19th.
19th, yeah.
Schmidt with mistakes threw away what could have been a potential podium, coming home in 5th. Kyle Potts, after battling throughout the race, body comes home in 6th. Behind him, it looks like Jonathan Scarallo is going to claim 7th with Anderson Moda. In fact, coming home 8th as we called with Phil finally after some late race spins, claiming 9th, and Derek Waller rounding out the top 10. Out Eduardo Tomede gets 11th with John LaBaff. It's a close battle between himself and Bogar, and these are the last 2 on the lead lap, and LaBaff does come home in 12th ahead of 13th place Vergara. That's it for our finishers, so we are going to go to break. Stick around, we are going to have interviews and read you the unofficial results. Should be interesting stuff. Well, we asked for a cleaner round, and it was kind of cleaner. It didn't have any big wrecks this time, but there was mistakes from drivers all over the place, and that made the difference as Alex Bilal won for the second time in a row. Daniel Santos was only just under 3 seconds behind him on the road in second place, and then the mistake starts. Ruben Velasco 27 seconds back in third position. Bruno Rossetto 30 seconds back in fourth position. Then Leandro Schmidt in fifth. Kyle Potts in sixth. Jonathan Scarallo recovery after a lap 1, turn 1 mistake, finished 7th. Anderson Moda came home in 8th. Matthew Thill in 9th. And Derek Waller in 10th, Ayrton.
Then Eduardo Tometi finishing 11th after starting 11th. John LaBath in 12th. Jose Viguera in 13th. Matt Malone in 14th. Romer Alcala in 15th. Bruce Poole in 16th. George Flake in 17th. Mark Robertson in 18th. Lance Snyder in 19th. And Lee McGovern in 20th. Bill?
21st, Marcio Arizon, he had a spin, finished 2 laps down. John Kelly, 22nd, got put in the wall. Clint Myers got disqualified for incidents. And then Michael Gabralski and Frank Phillips wrap out the field.
Well, we have a few interviews, unfortunately, with our Brazilian and various other country finishers up at the top. They have elected to not come and talk to us. And, well, we were going to talk to Potty after he gave us such a great race, and he's unfortunately... Oh, there he is. I thought he had ducked out. Bill, I believe you've got a few questions for Kyle.
Okay, Kyle, 22nd starting position. Let's talk about qualifying. What happened?
Well, this is my first time here at this track, so I had hardly any practice, and I didn't get a clean lap, so, that's what happens.
So when you're back there, you finished 6th, so that's a nice way through there. Boy, you had some nice battles. What was your strategy going into it? Did you pit early, or I can't remember where you did your pit stop. Was it lap 1, or did you go in the middle when everyone else did?
No, I much figured I could pick a few people off pretty quick, which I did, but then I don't know where Bruno, I think I caught up to Bruno, and there was a little deal there with him and Lee, but he was behind me, and he had some awesome pace tonight. He dipped off into the pits, and then I was going to go in next lap to cover him off. Then I went off in the hairpin, and somehow still made it out in front of him and Moda after my pit, so... when he caught back up to me, man, I just let him go by. I didn't want to even have anything to do with that. I made up a lot of positions, so I had to just, take what I could get.
So, I just drove this track today for the first time. I thought it was great. Are you new to the track just with this car, or is this brand new to you? Completely?
Yep, bought it on Thursday. So, yeah, completely new. I've actually never even watched a race or anything around here, so I had no idea, and it's tough, man. There's, like you guys said in the beginning, there's like one good place to pass. So unless somebody messes it up, but other than that, I think we went 3 wide through the hairpin at one point, and then we went. There was some crazy stuff going on in those little S's right there, those little quirky things. It was a fun race for sure.
Yeah, we saw that 3 wide. Well, congratulations, 6th place. That'll do for you, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys.
All right, thank you, Joe.
We also have Matthew Thill, who finished 9th, and Ayrton's going to talk to him.
Thanks, Joe. At you here.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, I can only guess that was a frustrating race for you. You had 2 key mistakes that cost you a possible top 5 position. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Well, I guess my memory wasn't as short as I needed to, because after that first spin, running 5th, trying to keep Bruno behind me, just kept steamrolling things into one after the other. So, fortunately, I think I cooked some of the tires, and that actually led to lockups that caused more spins, and it was just not a good finish for me. But qualifying in the same spot that I finished is you can't complain too much about it, but when the top 5 slips your fingers, it's kind of difficult to swallow.
Yeah, well, you definitely gave us a very entertaining race. You had a really good with Moda, and near the end there with Potts and I believe Rosetto, I think, at the end there as well. But we've noticed so far this season there's been a lot of drivers that have been making a lot of mistakes, and kind of the key to winning these races or doing well at all is really reducing those mistakes. So what do you kind of think on that topic? How do you go about things? Do you really try to get those fast laps in, or are you trying to focus on consistency?
I really try to focus on consistency, and unfortunately I keep changing my strategy up throughout as the weeks go on. Sometimes I'm taking front tires, sometimes I'm not. And today I took front tires, and my outlap after coming in was extremely slippery, so still takes quite a bit of time for those tires to warm up. So as you keep mixing it up, might have to go back to the original strategy, was just fuel only, where the tires at least have some temperature in them. But if any chance you cook these tires, it blossoms into another mistake or another potential mistake. So it's been a taxing season, that's for sure.
Yeah, a very eventful one as well. Yeah, difficult to predict anything at all in these races. So thanks for giving us quite a show in this race, Matt.
All right, thanks guys.
Okay, back to you, Joe.
Absolutely. We have one more driver to talk to. That's Romer Alcala, and he started in dead last without a qualifying time and finished in 15th. So 10 position gained, Romer. It seems like your lap 1 pit stop strategy worked. And we might not have Romer here. Romer, can you hear us? Oh, looks like he's muted himself. Romer, have you got us? Well, unfortunately, it looks like we won't get to talk to Romer, which is sad to see, since it looks like he had a good time working his way up the field. But we are going to close up for today after a great round 5 here in the DIYSim.com American Road Tour. But we want to thank a few people as well, including DIYSim.com, who is the official sponsor of this series. They do a lot to give great monetary prizes in this series. Also, thanks to VSRA, the organizers of this league. Thanks to iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, and AverMedia, the software and hardware that we use to make these broadcasts possible. Thanks to the team today, Ayrton, Bill, and Kevin. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. Thanks goes out to Doug Beard, who creates all the camera sets for the Global Sim Racing channel, and a special thank you to Eric Ekholm, whose music is not only found here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it on Twitter at Eric Ekholm. Our next race is going to be at Watkins Glen. That's going to be interesting, with that being a very long track out there. That's Sunday, September 21st at 9 p.m. Eastern. However, our next broadcast is coming up this week. That's the ASRS at New Hampshire, Wednesday, September 17th at 9 p.m. Eastern. And of course, the iSuperspeedway comes back at Talladega, September 19th at 10 p.m. Eastern. That'll be Friday night. And of course, don't forget the Blondie Series is back next weekend at Sebring, Saturday, September 20th at 6 p.m. UTC. And then of course, the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series goes to Road America on Saturday, October 4th at 10:30 p.m. UTC. And finally, the Northwest Majors returns for the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta, Sunday, October 5th at 5:45 p.m. Pacific. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.
Welcome to DIYSim.com, your source for your entire do-it-yourself simulator building experience. Whether your goal is to build a full-motion flight simulation cockpit with all 6 degrees of freedom, or find plans to build a full-motion racing simulation cockpit with anywhere from 1 degree of freedom all the way up to 6, DIY Sim has the products, plans, and resources to help you make it happen. Our DIY Sim brand is backed by one of the most innovative sim-building organizations in the world. Simcraft creates driver, in-the-loop simulators with proper kinetics for motion simulation. a technology that is unique to SimCraft and which accurately recreates high-speed vehicle dynamics. SimCraft simulator systems enable drivers to develop and enhance their car control skills efficiently and effectively, any track, any car, any day, all day. DIYSim.com has it all. Please start and finish your sim building experiences with us.